Here we are at last, the final episode of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, episode 13. And oh my gosh, what an episode this was. We saw tons of things we've never seen before, and it's left us with tons of questions. And let's just dive right into this because there's a lot to talk about, and I could go on forever about everything. But anyway, this episode was so great just because they treat it like any other episode in the sense that they're going through their lives. Like, they're not focusing on just one day or a week or anything. They give you these dates, and just to say that time just moving forward. Like, they can't stop because life doesn't stop for anything. And I love that they've done this with this show. It just, not every day is full of something extraordinary happening. Like, sometimes there's 2 or 3 a week that goes by that nothing really happens, and they show that with these dates, these timestamps or date stamps on the episodes. And I love that they've done that, and they did it with this as well. And I think it's great, just fantastic little thing that they did. But starting off this episode, I think this is the first time we've ever seen something so emotional come over Sakuta. So basically, we left with Kaede regaining all of her memories back. She's at the hospital now, and she's having these tests done, trying to figure out if everything's okay. And the doctors they told the family she's back to where she was before, or how she acted before, but she has no memory of the past 2 years of her being the quote-unquote other Kaede. And this is too much. This is too much for Sakuta to take, and he runs out. And if you see him running in the episode, like, he's running kind of like a Titans do in Attack on Titan. He's kind of flailing his arms and kind of going around and crying and unceasingly. And I've never seen him act like this. Like, he's always kind of like cool, and he does show emotions here and there. But for Kaede, it's always been different. Kaede, he's had so much love for her, and always want to protect her, and knowing that he wasn't able to quote unquote save this Kaede that he's known for the past 2 years, that kills him. Like, to the fact that to the point where you see his scar starting to bleed again in the rain, and he's just in pain. Like, why is this happening? Why couldn't I help her? And then out of freaking nowhere, you see Shoko. She's there. She gets the umbrella, takes him back to his house, and kind of starts caring for him. And that was so weird. Like, she just popped out of nowhere. No mention of the middle school Shoko, nothing. Just she starts helping him, and he's in this self-pity state where he's his biggest regret is that he couldn't help her. Neither of the Kaedes, he couldn't help her when she was being bullied, and he couldn't help her, or at least he thinks he couldn't help her with all the things she wanted to do. The new Kaede, or the other Kaede that he's been with the past 2 years. But Shoko, on the other side of the door when he's in the bath, she starts reading all the stuff that Kaede has written in her diary. And we talked about this before, where the mother and the father were so distraught that their Kaede had been gone. But this Kaede loved Sakuta because he accepted her as the Kaede that she is at that point. And she starts reading him, all the stuff that she said about him, and all the way up to last week's episode, where she finished all of her goals for him, and that she loves him for that. And basically Shoko was just telling him, like, it's okay to let it out. Like, you did save her. You gave her. She completed everything that she wanted, and she knew that her time was up, and that it had to go. She had to basically leave, because that was her time. That was the whole thing with the adolescent syndrome. And what was weird about this, though, is like how she knew about the diary, and she read it, and Sakuta had no issues with that. That was the weirdest part. I don't know how I feel about that. Just because I guess it plays to the next part where he's talking to Futaba, and she basically states that this person might just be a figment of your imagination. And he's like, that's not possible. He's like, well, let's look at the evidence here. Like, the only one who's ever seen her in her high school form, basically, is him. Like, no one else has ever seen her. He met her during the beach, and then met her for that one day in the rain, and then she left a note and didn't say anything. And he even tried calling the other Shoko over the phone, but didn't get an answer to the middle school version of her. So again, I think they're saving all that for the movie. But anyway, then Mai is involved in this episode a little, quite a lot. Not so much in the beginning, but she is showing that she's calling him and just wants to talk to him because she knows about or she wants to know what's happening with Kaede, and then she finds out that Kaede gained their memories, and she can already tell that Sakuta is very distraught about it. He doesn't know how he feels, and so she, being the great girlfriend, the greatest girl of 2018 of ever, that's what Mai is. She gets on a bullet train and for one night wants to go over and to console him. And what's funny, like, this little the interaction with him is hilarious because he answers the door in his underwear. She doesn't freak out. She just says, go put some clothes on and I'll make us some tea. Which I love about that. The greatest thing about the relationship is just that it's so real. She doesn't get embarrassed that he's in his underwear. They don't do the typical cliche stuff with that, and I love what they've done. Again, we could probably do like an hour of what they did right with Mai and Sakura's relationship because it's just amazing, and it's the way that I think any shoujo manga should be doing when they have the couples actually get together. Granted, kind of off topic, shoujo mangas and animes, or that genre in general, like, it's the journey that they like, and that's what takes like 200 chapters or like 24 episodes, or maybe it even gets resolved in the anime to get to that point. To keep possible love interests in play and to keep it funny or whatever it may be. But I don't like that. I love what they did with this one. This is what they should do. They did this with My Love Story. They established a relationship, and now we got to see the adventure from there. We don't need these fourth or fifth girls, 4 or 5 girls that are all interested in the same guy, and for him to not be able to choose any of them, but still have the one that we know that he's going to choose in the long run. Because that, anyway, sorry, that's off topic. I digress. Anyway, but this tender moment is cut short because she sees the note that Shoko left, and then she leaves. Sakura tries to stop her and try to explain, but she doesn't want any of that. She even says, like, he tries to even hold her, and he says, I don't think I can do this for a while. Leaves, and this again puts Sakura in this huge depressed state, and basically it takes his sister to tell him that it's her birthday and you should go see her, that he realizes that, okay, I gotta just go and apologize to her and talk to her. And this is what's cool, is you see these scenes of him running, and it matches what they did in the opening. And a lot of people have done different explanations explaining what the opening means, and this one, I guess it's his desperation. People say like it's his desperation to just move forward, but in this one it's his desperation to get to Mai as soon as possible, because Mai is his destination. Mai is the girl that's helped him through and through everything, has been his rock, and so he wants to see her as soon as possible. And he finally gets to see her, and they have this. They basically let bygones be bygones. They don't even worry about what had happened. I mean, they talk about it in a little bit, but they just kind of go back to how they were, and then they have this moment where they're just on this walkway, and Sakura's in his big puffy coat, and he shares it with Mai, and Mai just starts being honest with him, saying, it did bother her that she saw the note, because it wasn't because it was another girl though that was there, because he trusts her. Trust him, sorry, but it was the fact that she wasn't the first one to console him. She wasn't the first one to get there, and it was this girl. And Sakura is like, you know what? I hope I can be this person for you someday. They're still growing. They still have a lot of stuff they need to improve on. before they have a completely rock solid foundation for their relationship. But I think this is a great step of how they finished it. And the only cliche thing that they did here was they were gonna have. It looked like they were gonna have Mai kiss Sakuta, but instead she pinches his cheek and just says that's all that she can do for now. So I wish that they would kiss, just because everything else seems just fine and everything else seems normal. Normal, in quotation marks, is flowing just fine. But the fact that they didn't kiss, I can get over it just because they've given us so much more before. But I just wish that they had finished with that. And then it ends with him talking to what's her name, Kaede. I don't know why I forgot it for a minute. But what I loved about this ending was, there's no mention of them trying to get the old Kaede back. It's more them trying to get the Kaede that that lost her memory, get her up to speed on things. Get her, have her get to know Mai, and then and all the stuff that she's missed, and basically and now she wants to go to school because she wants to meet with her friend, with Kano, and then she knows that Sakuta will be able to help her, and he has confidence in that as well. It's implied that she doesn't live with him anymore, that I believe he lives alone now, if I heard it correctly. But it ends with that, just you have to go on with your life, and they're gonna try and be with this Kaede, or I guess the original Kaede. But he still loves her, all the same. It's just, I just love it. It's like you can't do much about things you can't change, and even though they have that supernatural theme to this, with the whole adolescent syndrome, they keep stuff like this, that can't do much. We just gotta move on with what we have, and I loved how they did that. They did tease though that Shoko's still there, because the last scene that you see before he says like, "Thank you for watching me," the Rascal, whatever it was, you see an image of her, which again I think is tying into the movie, where we'll finally get closure of what's going to happen with her arc and how this is all going to finish. This anime was just phenomenal. I really have no big issues with it. Again, it stuck out with, because it had that supernatural feel, that mystery type of feel, but it was so grounded in so many ways, and it gave us all the shoujo stuff with having different girls involved with him, but keeping to the core, where even though there's other girls involved, he is strictly just with Mai. He's not even like being blushy, being like embarrassed with other girls, or touching them, or having weird stuff happen that happens in all these other shoujo mangas or in love comedies, whatever. Like, it was always Sakuta and Mai, and that is what I really loved about this show. They saw this formula, they knew it worked with these characters, and they stuck by it, and I can't praise them enough about this. This is my number one anime for the year 2018. It's a masterpiece. I'm gonna watch it again and again. Hopefully Funimation dubs it. I would love to see who they have as the voice actors for this anime, but I want to give it a 10 out of 10, but it's hard for an anime to be perfect, and this one just wasn't right. It just barely. I give it a 9.5 out of 10 chibis. I recommend it to anyone who wants to watch this. Anyone who likes slice of life with a bit of mystery, supernatural, and love in there, watch this. You're gonna love it. And again, it's a breath of fresh air, because it's so different than all these other ones that involve a boy and a girl in a relationship. I mean, there's been different ones, like Scum's Wish has complex relationships that have more like intimate interactions as well. But I guess it's on that level of maturity, and on that level of it not being as the regular cut and paste stories that we've had in the past like 15 years. So again, I highly recommend watching Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. It's been a great pleasure reviewing this with you. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Maybe you hated it. I mean, if you hated it, you're wrong. But if you did hate it, tell me why. Write a comment down below. Look forward to all our other reviews and on our podcast episodes on Podomatic.com, Chibi no Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a great pleasure. Again, this is David the Smash Fan from Chibi no Podcast, and I'm out.